Hello, we're back here for another Friday Night Smackdown review. It only had a total of like three matches. One being a six-man tag, another one being, I think, a random squash match, and another one being, of course, the tournament final for the Intercontinental title. I thought they would tease you that for Backlash because there isn't that many matches on SmackDown that are being hyped up other than the triple threat tag, and of course now Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro against the New Day, even though it's been highly pushed that the Forgotten Sons would probably be the next contenders for the tag titles after being hyped. And then we get a handicap match for the Universal Championship. So I thought that would be more, advertised until we had something as, pardon me, I'm gonna be a bit more callous than anything else this review, because I watch a lot of dumbass shows, but if you have Jeff Hardy, a known drug addict, a guy has more DUIs than I have girlfriends in my entire life, come around with an unnecessarily huge amount of piss and tossing it on Sheamus, lower mid Carter style pranking for a world championship feud, and still an underbuilt young talent system that's still pushing guys like The Miz for the main event scene for some apparent reason. Like, I don't understand. And it took 4 commercials for a tournament final, and you wouldn't put this on the pay-per-view? There was nothing else to happen on SmackDown. This is such a waste of energy. It's such a waste of time to even produce this, and you idiots never thought of actually thinking maybe we should take a break. We don't have a crowd. It's taking a week. And Vince has taken this like he's bleeding that much money. Your live events ain't selling. Your pay-per-views are obviously not going to produce as much as it should be, but you idiots still want to bring up the high resources that come into a huge social media viewership follow when it's actually supposed to go to the pay-per-view buys and the attendance. Oh, and you fire your head executive for a guy that worked for 2017 Impact. And you're telling me I'm going to watch Jeff Hardy toss to a former Royal Rumble winner, a former world champion, and just toss piss at him. Why did this allow a contract segment, even though we had a world champion in a handicap match? Wouldn't that involve like more dialogue? They had very little storytelling, and I was for this feud because it's not the first time we've actually had a feud involving Jeff Hardy's personal demons. Even though they did it on Impact, they did it twice. They did it on SmackDown. They did it when Samoa Joe was on SmackDown. They did it literally the best feud of Jeff Hardy's career back in 2009 when he was feuding with CM Punk for the World's Heavyweight title. And Sheamus, how he wanted to deal with this, even though he knows he has a history of having addiction issues, he does a piss test. How retarded are you? And just know how it ends. Obviously, it's going to end with piss going in his face. And then he comes trying to wash it all out with Listerine and wash his face off. Nothing else happened, just Hardy tossing piss in his face. He didn't even punch him or anything. And of course, you had the robotic WWE generated ass crowd going, boo! Boo! This sucks. Whoever had a dream of actually having an executive position in WWE so you could actually have some creative power, just know that's just a place that, old wrestling fans get to kill themselves in. It's depressing, really. It's depressing. And some people take it like, I enjoy watching SmackDown. For the last several months, I have not enjoyed watching SmackDown. Since you're premiering on SmackDown. Strictly premiering on SmackDown. Just nothing has been entertaining. And it opens off of a contract signing that technically didn't end much in a contract signing, but piss in the face. And some people thought it was an A+. or something? How dumb is this? How dumb is this? This is the same guy that won the world title in the 18 seconds, and then he comes around playing around with freaking Muppets. They don't know what to do with Sheamus. They'll try to make him part of a big faction, and then he comes around getting pissed in his face. It's just borderline retarded. Sorry for saying that, folks, but it is retarded. If you're wasting 2 hours of my time, I'll call it whatever you want, because it's a sacrifice of the light bill, it's a sacrifice of the cable bill, it's a sacrifice of my time that's worth anything else I have in this world, and that's how I'm gonna call it. That segment sucked. Next up, we had a boring, forgettable match with the New Day facing off against Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro for some apparent reason. Other than they messed around with Chad Gable. Chad Gable didn't even get involved too much until the tag match, even though they've been primarily feuding with him for the last 2 weeks, costing him a shot at the Intercontinental Championship tournament, and then beating them in a 6-man tag. So what happens? Nakamura and Cesaro just win a match and get an immediate title shot. Because that's how Vince does storylines now. There was uppercuts, decent breaks of pinfall. I mean, the only positive I'll give it was the cool Black Lives Matter thing they did, obviously for the death of George Floyd, and probably the unnecessary way police brutality is shown in the world we live in today. That was a cool thing by the New Day. But this match, obviously not the New Day's best, and obviously all 4 great wrestlers in their own mind. There were Sentons, Top Gun Hellos. I felt like they were trying to do everything to make sure the match is watchable against a remote crowd that knows what these guys are going to do anyway. AJ Styles, we get up to next. And I don't like segueing off this, but bro, this is going to be probably one of the shorter reviews I'm going to give, because this was the more positive part of the match. I mean, the show. There was a running me into Styles clash for a near fall. Calf crusher after selling off the leg that Daniel Bryan even still did kicks with, so the lack of selling just came into any top rope crap. Even though they still went for a superplex. Michinoku driver. It's just a match that didn't have to drag on for that long. They could have just done any fast-paced stuff to just sell for the pay-per-view. Because obviously, what's there for Backlash? A triple threat match that no one's going to care about. A triple threat tag team match that no one's going to care about. The United States title is going to be on the line for no damn reason other than a number 1 contender spot. No one cares about the Edge and Orton match. Lashley and McIntyre is probably what I'm going to be there for, and then I'm going to have a low brow for everything else in the show. And Nia Jax is just going to kill Asuka. No, that's not a sensible sense to make her feel threatening. I'm just saying that she's literally going to kill her. Like, make her neck feel like a right angle. So, that's how I feel about it. Like, what happened to my neck? That's what's going to happen to Asuka. And Universal title is going to be put in a handicap match. And it's the second time Braun would put his singles title up in a handicap match to kind of sell the part that he's dominant, even though he lost to fucking Sami Zayn in a handicap match for the Intercontinental Championship just under a month of holding it. So what kind of legitimacy we're going to give Braun? He's been a replacement for Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. What legitimacy are they going to give this guy? Yes, he faced off against a Fiend. What's the Fiend doing? SmackDown shows that they want to push no legit stars. Even guys that shown that they can be in main event status either don't get that many matches to make themselves feel threatening, or actually have watchable segments. Some dumbass segment with smelling burgers and then getting Mandy Rose. Tucker was shown to be still on TV, even though I thought he was traded or something. That would make a lot more sense. Did we forget that it was a multi-trade for AJ Styles for SmackDown to Raw? I mean, from Raw to SmackDown for some apparent reason, other than an excuse to get some top guy for SmackDown, thanks to lost Roman Reigns, and King Corbin isn't really doing it, and they gave Otis the Money in the Bank briefcase. Styles won in a pretty decent finish off a forearm. Very little moves off the apron. This match was good, but it dragged on for a lot. It was like AEW style match, and the lack of energy coming from the crowd, where they're like ruining it every time over the matter of the show with no other reaction. It just made everything feel lowbrow. I'm not denouncing the match. The match was good, just the way it was. It just felt like I should have been. This could have been a good match in a house show, but that's just the environment that we're in right now. And Michael Cole and Corey Graves still addressed it as, "Where's welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on Friday Night Smackdown in the training center again." Damn it. That's how it feels, and it feels so low cut and dry. Like, and you guys like praise WWE for more of the cinematography they've been doing, trying to exclude feuds and storylines and gimmick matches. Yet, has that really been the major selling point, or actually got new viewers in? I swear to God, as soon as I referenced that we had a corporate ladder match for Money in the Bank, a few people, whoever watched the video, is going to be like, "Ooh, we had that." No one's gonna feel like that's an iconic thing. If I reference Money in the Bank match from like 2005 to 2008 or 9 or 10, you're gonna remember that. Or the 2011 to 2014 Money in the Bank briefcase ladder match. No one cares about this week's for this year's ladder match. I didn't mind the gimmick. It's just how they made it so comedic and so forgettable, with so many spotty references that even the biggest smirk would be like, really? Next up, we had a celebration for two-time champions now Bayley and Sasha Banks. After previously losing it at WrestleMania 35 the previous year and winning it back just 2 weeks prior against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. There were balloons and shit everywhere. And the more I have to listen to freaking uh, Molly Holly with Down syndrome and a crooked wig with Sasha Banks that looks like a drunk 19-year-old all the time, trying to think that she's like 24 or something. And here's Billy Kay and Peyton Royce obviously spotting down that there are also threats, even though what happened to Dana Brooke and Carmella. Like, we forgot that we have a women's division on SmackDown, or Tamina still is on TV. Either way, it's like 6 annoying women talking, especially Nikki Cross. Even though we know, like, most people are just gonna just fan around and say that they want to fap to either Alexa, Nikki, Peyton, or Sasha, and then just call Sasha and Bayley the best wrestlers in the business, or whatever in the hell they're gonna do. That just ended up with surprise attacks out of nowhere. We didn't even get into a match. The segment was so forgettable, but we know that there will be a triple threat tag team match for the women's tag titles in Backlash, and that's a long thing to say, because you have to add women's in it. They can't even have a unique name for it. They just have to make it women's to just say it's women's. Next up, we had a 6-man tag for the main event. So it was Braun Strowman and Heavy Machinery that I forgot Tucker was even on the main roster, since, like, after Money in the Bank, he's just been irrelevant. He's just been absolutely forgettable. Otis, that's Money in the Bank winner, and against Dolph Ziggler, John Morrison, and The Miz. Don't know why Dolph Ziggler got to get involved, yet I understand because he still feuds with Otis time to time. And I barely saw this match, to be honest. I barely saw this match. There was, of course, a segment involving earlier in the show, probably, that Corbin was talking to Mandy Rose and obviously thinking that he was into her. Obviously, it ends with Otis coming out of nowhere to attack, even though this... So this was absolutely pre-recorded. Somehow, Tucker came around just shredding pounds and still keeping fat and with a stupid tattoo now over his shoulder. So I hope that sacrifice of TV time was worth it. Drop kicks, we had the Caterpillar. There were some moves off the outside. Obviously, we had the Strowman shoulder tackles. Dolph Ziggler's amazing. I'm not getting a main event spot ever for the rest of my career. Drop kicks. The counter off a zigzag. Tucker, I think, pounced on Ziggler the time when he was talking to Mandy. And then Strowman came with the assist with a Caterpillar by Otis. It was a forgettable match, bro. This SmackDown. It gets a 3 out of 10. It does, and it just comes off the Black Lives Matter thing and just the Styles and Daniel Bryan match. The negatives comes off the drag, the lack of creative ability, the lack of having ideas for anything else. And you think the best thing is to get rid of every executive down the board. It's like Vince is either not thinking hard enough or he's not getting more opinions up his spine. Because I know he talks to a lot of people. I don't know why you need a writing team for obviously men that are, practiced to, have improv. That's how technically wrestling works, so they can tell their story in the ring. And it just feels so crap. This is such a crap show, bro. There's been so many below average SmackDowns, and thanks Paul Heyman's gone. Imagine how that kind of crap, that type of mediocrity is gonna roll down on Raw, especially when they've done a decent enough job getting at least some guys over, like at least Andrade or Angel Garza being at least a top star, or getting Austin Theory a faction, making Rollins a major threat, probably making Mysterio a major threat. There's at least having more exciting stuff on Raw than there is SmackDown. And they're just gonna make more of those marks just roll up on AEW. Just one big 30-minute match ain't gonna do it, man. That's all they did. And if they wanted to make the finals the main event, they should have done it if it was gonna carry on 4 commercials. And for a 6-man tag, obviously no one cares about because fuck Braun Strowman. No disrespect to Braun, but he's just been treated. He hasn't been he hasn't been as calculated as a main eventer, or at least some guy to actually be a favorite to the crowd since 2016 to 17. And your biggest source of relevancy came into you tagging with a child at WrestleMania. I don't give a shit that Braun Strowman's a world champion. They fell off on that note, and now the show sucks. And Bray Wyatt's just not there. Don't know what they're doing with him. They're hyping up, even though the guy lost a chance to be a champion in a DQ in a Hell in a Cell finish, and you make him lose to a 50-year-old Goldberg. You don't even give him squash matches on the show that he's branded on. He isn't the Undertaker. Bray Wyatt ain't shit. And he comes around losing, and he comes around just not being featured on any of the shows or even put on. But this mythologic jobber that somewhat pins the top guy on SmackDown, and then he just either loses to a part-timer or he gets in a screwed up finish. And all I get is a halfway cut mask or mere interracial. I don't know. It's pretty poor. SmackDown really needs to double down. I understand the summer is, of course, the down period of WWE as a whole, because we get the whole schedule thing. The follow-up with late winter to spring with WrestleMania. The fall down with the only hype factor being the Money in the Bank, and I wish they get rid of these gimmick pay-per-views, for God's sakes. They devalued Money in the Bank so bad. They devalued Hell in a Cell real bad. They devalued what made Survivor Series popular. And they devalue every other pay-per-view either in existence, or they'll make it a random phrase or a random wrestling stipulation, like Fatal 4-Way, or Money in the Bank, or Extreme Rules, or Last Man Stand. Oh no, it's One Night Stand. Wait, hold up. Or TLC. Like, no one gives a shit. And I'm not trying... And it just gets agitating because the show is so bad. And I have to continue watching this for weeks. For weeks, I'm gonna vent. So, sorry if you guys continue hearing this stuff coming out of my mouth, but that's how I feel. The show sucks. The show really sucked. Oh goodness! Thank you for watching. If you were able to stand my rage, this is the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe, and of course, help me get up to 30.